नाकाशस्य घटाकाशः विकारा अवयवौ यथा नैवात्मनः सदा जीवः विकार अवयवौ तथा यथा भवति बालानां गगनं मलिनं मलैः तथा भवत्यबुद्धानां आत्मापि मलिनो मलैः मरणे स्वं भवेच्चैव गत्यात्मगमनयोरपि स्थितौ सर्वशरीरेषु आकाशेन विलक्षणः संघाता स्वप्नवत् सर्वे आत्ममाया विसर्जितः आधिक्ये सर्वसाम्येव नोपपत्तिर्हि विद्यते रसादयो हि ये कोशाः व्याख्यातास्तैतरीयके तेषाम् आत्मा परो जीवः खं यथा संप्रकाशितः द्वयोर्मधुर्ज्ञाने परं ब्रह्म प्रकाशितम् पृथिव्यामुदरे चैव यथाकाशः प्रकाशितः। So the Karika, the Mandukyaupanishad, which is the Advaita Prakaranam, as you know, is let me turn the sound down, sorry. So the Advaita Prakarana of the Mandukyaupanishad, as you know, is teaching us to appreciate ourselves with the help of the example of space and the rest of the manifested elements which is in front of us. So it says, please see that example. This is an important example of the Akasha. And as we know, just to start, the reason why this is important, reason why we are given this example of the various elements in the creation in front of us is this, that we tend to overlook the role of Akasha. We tend to not think about it very much, we don't pay much attention to it, and we are only looking at things that are tangible, so chairs, tables, people, and then the softer forms of those tangibility, which is thoughts, and in fact the entire experience of happiness and unhappiness, and all those kinds of the Sukshma Sharira Vishaya, as well as the Sthula Sharira Vishaya, are tangible things that we deal with. We don't deal with Akasha. Akasha is kind of taken for granted. We don't really think about it. And in fact, so much so that, as you know, that in the entire academic and experiential aspect of Buddhism, they don't think of Akasha as anything. So they also, they have actually, so this is interesting that what we may have some, we may overlook Akasha in our daily practice, but they actually teach the fact that you are right, Akasha is nothing. So to that extent, they even go beyond in institutionalizing the ignorance of, or the overlooking, I would say ignorance, but the overlooking of Akasha. So anyway, so the Karika says, this is not right, this is not the way you should look at things. Eventually, you should see that the Akasha is the most important aspect of the whole creation. In fact, not only does it do the normal job of allowing people, things to exist in it, but really speaking, all of the energy, all of the form really comes from the Akasha in a very subtle form. So this the Upanishads have said for a long time, and now the modern scientists are beginning to understand it. That Akasha is not just a nothingness, inert thing. In fact, in a very subtle form, it is the very basis of the entire spectrum of elements from which it comes. So this is what it teaches. And the reason it teaches this is the same issue with how we perceive ourselves. You see, this is something that should be appreciated. I mean, we talked about it and so on, but just to reiterate what the central message of this part of the Karika is, Advaita Karika. What is the central message? Which is this: the Atma means I, the real I, is being overlooked. And instead, the products of the I, the manifestations of the I, are the only ones that are keeping our attention, are grabbing our attention. And this is very well explained in the Shastra, that when you are in a state of dream, which is what, so this is a Karika for the Mandukyaupanishad, and the Mandukyaupanishad says that the Atma has 3 stages of manifestation. 3 states of manifestation: the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. And all 3 states come out of the Atma and resolve in it. So yes, they are sort of related to the Atma, but you won't find the Atma in its pure form in any one of these states. And you'll never find it. You'll never find it. You have to think about the whole structure before you understand what the role of the Atma is, as it is the role of the Akasha. So this is what the Karika is explaining. So there we saw that even the creation of something, and so including the creation of the birth of the human being, birth of any being, and the presence of the being and the death of the being, is exactly like the birth of a room space, Ghatakasha. And so yes, from a standpoint of vyavahara, from transactional standpoint, there is a birth, there is a preservation, there is a possibility of that form of manifestation being polluted, being affected by other elements. All of those things are there. This is what the whole creation is all about. But all the time, the fundamental aspect of the creation is unaffected, just like Akasha is unaffected. And so very similar to that is our understanding needs to be that in all three states of our experience, namely Jagrata Avastha, etc., the Atma is unaffected. Atma is unaffected. This you have to see that. And also you can see this in the very beautiful example of looking at yourself in the mirror. Because in the mirror, there is actually a reflection of you which can be seen. Which can be seen. You can actually, you can visualize it, you can experience it, and so on. But that's just a copy. The original is unaffected by that. And this is a beautiful, if you look at both of these examples together, one example being the Akasha and all of its manifestations in Vyavahara, in transactions, and the other example being the Bimba and Pratibimba, the original and its reflection in the mirror. If you look at both of them, you begin to see the truth about what's happening. So, and also if you look at the various teachings, especially the very first verse of Dakshinamurti Stotram, Vishwam Partarpana Dishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahirivod Bhutam Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanam Eva Advayam Sri Dakshinamurte Namaha. This is the first verse of Dakshinamurti Stotram. There also it is pointing out. So what it is saying is, you are overlooking an important, most important fact about yourself. And so there, for those of you that are attending the Dakshinamurti Stotram, Swami Mahesananji had pointed out, and others also, I'm sure, that the essence of the first verse is that Atma Pratyak Swarupa. If you remember, those of you that are attending the class, Atma Pratyak Swarupa. Atma Pratyak Swarupa means that it is never going to be manifested. You cannot say yes. This is why even in the Upanishad and others, there is a dialogue where if the student says, now I know Brahman. And if you see Brahman as a manifested thing, then you haven't learned anything. I'm just giving you all these related thoughts with it, and I'll try to put it together before we go further. So what it means is that, and this often happens, this is a very important thing to see, that in the process of learning Vedanta, there are possibilities that your mind becomes very quiet and very happy and doesn't move very much, and you really enjoy it and you feel you have now reached it. So what it means is, this is not true. This is a false positive. Why is it a false positive? Because even there, you evaluate yourself from the standpoint of the state of your mind, you see. And you see that, I have gone through the same thing myself. In the very beginning, when I was a student of Vedanta, and for a number of years, it gave me a very positive idea of my mind, because before that my mind was kind of at the mercy of the whole world, and I didn't know what was happening, and so on and so forth. But after the teaching, I began to see that this is really giving me a very good experience. And I still looked at it as a very positive experience. And it took me a long time to realize that that's a false positive. Why is it a false positive? Because as long as you look at yourself as an experience that you can experience, then you have not reached the real I. To be happy about the learning of Vedanta is also a false positive. What you need to know is, what we all need to know is, that the Atma is never manifested. And the true test of understanding, as all the acharyas, the Shastra says, the true test. So the question is, if my positive experience is a false positive, then what is the true positive? And the true positive is that even if your mind is unhappy, you are unaffected by it. It is exactly like, even if your reflection in the water is dirty or wavy, you don't get upset. So here's the thing. Even though you can never see yourself, you never see yourself, you can only see yourself through the reflection, but then you do see yourself through your reflection. You see yourself through the reflection. You don't see yourself directly. And so you begin to see that really all of my mental conditions are just a reflection of who I am. This is exactly like saying, you can look at it from a various standpoint, just like saying Akasha. If the Akasha doesn't know I am the Mahakasha, the entire space, and whatever form it takes in terms of small rooms, bigger rooms, and so on, if that's all it takes, then it gets very upset. But if he knows that I am the Mahakasha and this is just a reflection, even if the rooms suffer, the Akasha does not suffer. So this is what is being pointed out here. That really what is born and what dies is Ghatakasha. Akasha is never, this is what I have to see. And so, as we have seen another very beautiful example of that, we have been talking about this, but just putting it all together, you have to see that even the conclusion that the sun is not there is from the presence of the sun itself. So you should say that So what it means is that even if your mind is unhappy, for whatever reason, due to prarabdha, for a jnani there is no real problem. But due to prarabdha, some problems may occur. Body problems may occur, some even mental problems may occur. You have to deal with some difficult situations and so on. So the mental condition of a jnani can also be unpleasant. But the jnani, the difference between a wise person and other wise person is that the jnani has an inner smile even if there are problems, because it knows this is just my reflection, this isn't me. And so this is exactly like, this is different from the example of a dream. Because in a dream, once the dream goes, the whole thing, the dreamer also goes, the dreamt world also goes. You cannot even visualize. You maybe just for a few seconds, if you are lucky enough to wake up right in the middle of the dream, then you enjoy the fact that, yes, my goodness, just a few seconds ago, I was a aggrieved dreamer, and I am not an aggrieved dreamer. I have nothing to do with the dream. Just for a few seconds you enjoy that. But it doesn't really happen very long. It doesn't happen very often. But in this case, we have a very interesting situation. The situation is that the so-called waking state lasts for quite a while. Even you have become a jnani, you have understood who you are, the sense of dreaming continues for a while until the prarabdha finishes itself. But while this is the situation, you are not truly worried. So there is a difference between sukha dukkha and shoka moha. In our shastra, these two distinction is made very well. So ordinary sukha dukkha even the jnani will have. But the jnani does not say, this is me who is in pain. It says, how interesting that my connection with this body has been there for millions of years, or this body even a number of years, and all the bodies for millions of years. And this will take a little while, but I know inside that this is not me. And so there is no shoka or moha. So this is the shoka moha which is said in the Bhagavad Gita is an important one. Not sukha dukkha. Sukha dukkha will continue, but shoka moha will go. And what is shoka moha? Moha means a complete confusion. And in this context, the complete confusion is that you take the reflection to be yourself. This is the moha. And the corresponding shoka for that moha is very enormous. Because for a thinking person, life can become very burdensome. And we see this, my goodness, how many people are depressed? How many people commit suicide? How many people want to commit suicide? This is an expression of shoka. It's not some simple sukha dukkha. Everybody has some simple dukha dukkha. You break a bone, and you have to wear a cast for a while, and you go to the hospital. This is called normal sukha dukkha. That happens to everyone. To a jnani also this happens. But the jnani does not have shoka moha. It doesn't have moha, and because of that, it doesn't have shoka. Shoka means a deep sense of non-understanding. What is going to happen to me? What is my future? Where am I going? Is there an Ishvara? Is there not an Ishvara? Do I have a friend? Don't I do have a friend? Confusion about life. Why is there Sukha Dukkha? What is it happening? Those things just go away. You just experience the local Sukha Dukkha. And even while you are having a local Sukha Dukkha, inside you have a smile. Hey, Swami Maheshanji gave a beautiful example. I really enjoy his practical life example. He says, supposing you are going in a long journey somewhere, and there is tiredness, there is Sukha Dukkha during the journey. You have pleasures, and sometimes you enjoy, and other times you get so tired, you're hungry, and so on and so forth. And so oftentimes you have children with you, and the children have no idea how far this journey is. So this is why they keep on asking, when do we get there? And their minds, the child's mind is really in turmoil, because how long? These days actually this handheld video things have become such an aid. I cannot believe this. I saw that with my granddaughters and so on. So whenever we would if we were to go to a long journey like to India, where we all went for, when we went to inaugurate this computer center, and we all were together, they were happy as a clam. Usually they are not allowed to see the videos at home. And so when they travel, the mother and father are very happy. They say, how many videos do you want to see? Okay, you can just do it. Dora, this, that, or all kinds of things. And so they were happy. They never really complained about the whole thing. The adults were complaining. Anyway, this is just an example. But Swami Maheshanji says, look at this. It's an important thing to see. There's a long journey. In the old traditional days, when the children didn't know how long it was going to be, and they're bored, and they're bugging their parents, when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? And the parents are saying, soon, soon. So in this example, Swamiji says, look at this. Even though the adult that knows we have got 30 more miles to go, it will take us about half hour. He knows that. He knows that. His thinking is much more secure. Even though he's also tired, he or she is also tired. He's also, but he's not impatient, because it knows it's only half hour to go. The child doesn't know what is half hour, what is 30 miles. All it says is, I don't know when we're going to get there. So the mental turbulation of a person, so connecting it back to what I was saying earlier, the mental turbulations of a person that doesn't know when my body began and when my body will end and what will happen to me when the body ends is gone. Those things are gone. He knows exactly what is happening, what is going to happen, and how long it is going to last. It has a pretty good idea about that. So, whereas an agyani, a person who is ignorant, has no idea how long my life will be. Both don't have any idea exactly. It's not as the jnani knows that I've got 15 years to live, but approximately it says that. In the case of an agyani, your mind is haywire. This is what is called shoka. This is what is called shoka. And so, with all these examples, one should see. So this is what I was saying. I would say this. that there is a false positive that you will find in your quest, if you are like me, and I think most of us are the same way, that as you study Vedanta, you'll become happier. You'll become happier, you'll become more secure. I remember the experience that really kept me going was, no one had captured my mind to such an extent as my teachers. And it was a great experience for my mind to be still, be focused, and have a sense of fullness. I'll never forget that. It was a new experience in me, in my life. And this becomes kind of like a drink where you feel, wow, this is amazing. That also is a false positive I didn't know. I didn't know. It's good. It's good that you keep going and you are now committed and so on and so forth. But for a number of years, I thought that if I could just maintain that happiness, I would be arrived. This is not true. This is not the truth. And now what you have to do is you have to conquer both happiness as well as unhappiness. And that requires a lot of study. Just feeling happy is not enough. And real freedom is that even if you are unhappy, you have an inner smile. You don't worry about it. Because you know this will go. This is just a temporary thing. Sukha dukkha is there, but the moha and the shoka is gone. So really the teaching of Karika and all of the teaching of Vedanta, this is when Swami TV will come, he will say pretty much the same thing, hope better than this way. That really speaking, the understanding of the truth of yourself is that and another aspect of this is where we differ so much with the yoga, Patanjali's yoga and all that, because Patanjali's yoga, the idea through samadhi is very much like what I was saying earlier, that in the teaching of Vedanta, you feel very happy, you feel fullness, and so on. And similarly in the samadhi of the yogis, you are able to control your mind, and of course it is quiet, it has a sense of fullness in it, and so this is what is called chitta vritti nirodha as the final aspect of yoga. Not correct. It is exactly like an ocean, a wave that is in the ocean and it is bothered by any other wave in the ocean. Any other wave in the ocean, apart from one's own waviness, is duality, plurality. You look at it as a reality and possibly as a threat that some other nearby wave will devour you. This is not freedom. The freedom is whether there are other waves or not, you are secure because your identity is with the water, not with the form of the wave. That is the real freedom. So similarly, the real freedom is when sukha dukkha comes and goes. You don't have to be happy. When you experience fullness, even if your mind is unhappy, that is the real knowledge. Because that is the identity with Akasha, not with Ghatakasha, but with Mahakasha. So anyway, that's the trend of the teaching. So now the entire teaching is to give you the viveka, the discrimination. Viveka means discrimination, because knowledge requires discrimination. Discrimination means that, as it in verse number 8 it said, Yatha bhavati balanam gaganam malinam malayihi. So in the case of a child, when you see the sky and you see that the sky is blue, and you ask a child, let's say a 2-year child, I think, one who you can talk to and communicate with me or something. You can say, baby, what is the color of the sky? He'll say, blue. Are you sure? He says, yeah, I see it, it's blue. Don't you see it? And in fact, the Viveki knows that even if it is blue looking, there is no blueness in Akasha. No blueness. As I was telling you, I am really amazed. I need to look at some research on this. How did the blueness come? It is very, very interesting. I think Swami Dayananji had pointed this out, that blueness is the color of infinity. If there is a manifestation of infinity, it is blue in color. And oftentimes, for example, Krishna is depicted as in blue color. And the reason for that is exactly this. If you look at a small amount of water, it doesn't have blueness in it. But if you have a huge amount of water, it has blueness in it. What a creation the Lord has made. So in the case of the child, it is not able to distinguish between colorlessness and the blueness. Similarly, it says for an ajnani, when you have sukha dukkha, you are not able to distinguish. This sukha dukkha is not the color, not the quality of Atma. It is not the quality of Ghatakasha, and not the quality of Mahakasha, it is the quality of Ghatakasha. That viveka you don't have. And that viveka you have to study and think over it, and it takes a long time. It's not obvious. One interesting thing that I think I might have told you this in this class or maybe some other class. This is why in the Mahavakya, Tat Tvamasi, so this is what is called Lakshana Vritti. Not Vachya Vritti, not Vachyartha, but Lakshanartha. So Vachyartha means what you can see directly. But Lakshanartha means an implication, by implication. You cannot see it directly. And in the case of the Atma, you have to use Lakshartha. You cannot use Vachyartha, because you can never see it. And so Lakshyartha requires a lot of preparation, a lot of eligibility, a lot of thinking ahead of time. Because then what will happen is that even if you understand some of the elements of the implication, your experience belies it, and you throw away the baby with the bathwater. And he says, I don't know, this thing doesn't work at all. This is why I say people say that Vedanta is all bookish knowledge, there is no experience on it. It is because we have not really looked into it or with all of its implication. And so the trend is to become a viveki through lakshartha. So now we don't have that much time left, but in the next half hour, let us look at, so far, the Karika was explaining with the help of the example of the Akasha, right? This is where we are. We are looking at the example of the Akasha vis-a-vis Mahakasha, Ghatakasha, total space, room space, all of those kinds of things are being done. So here, we're starting with verse number 11 and onwards, a few verses. What is being shown is that the real message of the Upanishad is the same. Is the same. So now the Upanishads are being quoted and reminded. So this is a teaching methodology which is used. First, you just give the concepts of the teaching, regardless of whether it is there in Upanishads or not. But then if somebody has a doubt, where does it say that and how does it say that, you go back to the Upanishad. So here, in verse number 11, Taittiriya Upanishad is being given as the example. And in verse number 12, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is being given as it. So let's look at both of them. No, we'll have time for both of them, but let us just look at it. So, in verse number 11 it says, Rasadayo hi ye koshaha vyakhyata taitariyake. So it says, in Taittiriya. So this is seventh case. Taitariyake means in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Vyakhyata means it is very well said, very very clearly said. Here Swami Paramarthananda has said are mentioned, but I think the true meaning Vyakhyata means V plus Akhya. Akhya means to say, and V means Visheshena, means very clearly, very in a great detail it is said. What is said in Taittiriya? Rasadayaha hi ye koshaha. So he says that the koshas are being discussed in the Taittiriya Upanishad, and for those of you that we have been studying with Taittiriya, this will be a good refresher of the Taittiriya. And in fact, I brought my mantra pushpam so I can recite the Taittiriya Upanishad a little bit. Yeah. Allow me to just spend a few minutes just reciting the mantras of the Taittiriya Upanishad, and then I will explain what this means. So this is the Brahmananda Valli. So this will take a few minutes, so let me just repeat. And I think you pretty much know this, but you just recite. I'll just recite it. You just listen. You don't have to recite. Om Brahmavida apnoti param तदेशाभ्युक्ता सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्मा यो वेद निहितं गुहायां परमे व्योमन् सोऽश्नुते सर्वान् कामान् सः ब्रह्मणा विपश्चितेति तस्माद् वा एतस्मात् आत्मन आकाशः सम्भूतः आकाशात् वायुः वायोरग्निः अग्नेरापः अद्भ्यः पृथिवी पृथिव्या ओषधयः ओषधीभ्योऽन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः स वा एष पुरुषोन्नरसमयः तस्येदमेव शिरः अयं दक्षिणः पक्षः अयमुत्तरः पक्षः अयमात्मा इदं पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति अन्नात् वै प्रजाः प्रजायन्ते या काश्च पृथिवी पृथिवीगश्रिताः अथो अन्नेनैव जीवन्ति अथैनदपि यत्यन्ततः अन्नगुं हि भूतानां ज्येष्ठं तस्मात् सर्वौषधमुच्यते सर्वं वै तेनाप्नुवन्ति तेन्नं ब्रह्मोपासते अन्नगुं हि भूतानां ज्येष्ठं तस्मात् सर्वौषधमुच्यते अन्नात् भूतानि जायन्ते जातान्यन्नेन वर्धन्ते अद्यतेति च भूतानि तस्मादन्नं तदुच्यत इति तस्माद् वा एतस्मादन्नरसमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मा प्राणमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविदताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य प्राण एव शिरः व्यानो दक्षिणः पक्षः अपान उत्तरः पक्षः आकाश आत्मा पृथिवी पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति. And this is not a complete one that I wanted to do, but just in the interest of time, just that much. So, what it is pointing out is the nature of kosha. The nature of kosha. Kosha means a covering. Kosha means a covering. I'm just revising it. I think most of you already know it. So a covering. And a covering means something that hides something is called a covering. So for example, supposing you have a very sharp sword. You cannot walk around with a sharp sword because you can hurt somebody. And so normally the sword is put into a leather cover, which is called a kosha. And then when the use is needed, you can take it out and then you can separate, because at that point the sword is not really visible. It is covered by an outside covering. So here there is a covering of the Atma. And a covering of the Atma is not a real covering. This is the interesting thing, because in the case of the example of a sword being covered by a leather cover, both of them have the same level of reality. So there the cover is easy to see. Easy to see. Here it is like a cover, but not really the same level of reality. So then what? It means that the true nature of the content is hidden by something. It is hidden by something that has no reality. This is the very definition of upadhi. Upadhi means that upadhi is a substance that hides the thing that it is hiding, what is called upahita. So the upadhi hides the upahita and does not allow itself to be understood right away. So it's kind of like a kosha. This is the kosha. It's not a real kosha. So here, for example, going back to Yakasha, the fact that it is a room space kind of hides the fact it is Mahakasha. Without hiding, it seems to hide because my understanding is only with respect to room Akasha. So here, this is all transactional, as we've been saying. Do we have enough room for Swami Tattvavedanandaji's midday classes? No, let's go back there. How many people can we do? We are discussing all of this. This is all with respect to Ghatakasha. And so, for a transactional aspect, it is okay. But it doesn't mean that you are limiting space in any way. You cannot limit space. So from a transactional standpoint, you can say, yes, my body is in trouble. But you are not in trouble. This is the hiding. This is called kosha. So, in verse number 11 of the Karika, he says, Rasadayo hi ye kosha. Rasadayo. Rasadayo means rasadaya. Means the first thing that kosha is presented in Taittiriya Upanishad is Annamaya kosha. Annamaya kosha, which is the body. So it says, so for example, Tasmat va etasmad annarasamayat. From annarasamayat, then is born pranamaya. So this is interesting to see. This is how the hiding becomes so effective. So it's pointing out the effectiveness of the hiding. How? Let's look at it. See, if we were, suppose, we were just a kind of an empty shell of the body, with no other connection with other aspect of the body, we won't probably make a mistake that I am the body. But we do. And one of the reasons we do is that not only do we mistake ourselves for the shape of the body, but the physiology of the body, which is called pranamaya. That means when I'm short of breath, I feel I'm short of breath. Not the body is short of breath. This is called pranamaya kosha. So first of all, you have annarasamaya. So this is what is called rasadaya. Rasadaya means rasa beginning with annamaya, etc. Dayaha means, adi means, etc. Etc. means the whole 5 koshas. And so what the 5 koshas do is to hide your reality. Doesn't allow you to even think about who you are because you're so involved with your own body and the physiology of the body. So you have annamaya kosha, then you have pranamaya kosha. And as though that is not enough, probably the most damaging aspect of this hiding is manomaya kosha. Because your thoughts, your your conclusions, your because evaluations are all done through mind. I am in trouble. I'm not in trouble. I'm okay. I'm not okay. This is all done with the mind. And the mind is imposed on myself. This is me. This is what I think. This is how I evaluate myself. This is Manomaya Kosha. Then comes next one is Vijnanamaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha is even more damaging. That is kind of like, I think, I don't know if some of the acharyas had one told me or not, but this analogy sticks in my mind. It's kind of like, you're still alive and people are trying to bury you. You're still alive and there's some kind of a, box under which you are being put in and saying, they say this happens in wars because there's so much to do. You cannot have distinguish between who's still alive, who's not alive. So if somebody is not moving, they say, okay, that's in over here, just send him to the crematorium. And the person says, no, I'm still alive, but his voice is not heard very much. So this is exactly the same thing. Here, the Atma is saying, I'm free, I'm not unconnected. And my experience says, shut up. What are you talking about? So it puts various nails in the coffin of non-understanding. And so the first one is the Annamaya Kosha, one nail for the Annamaya Kosha. And then supposing you want to wriggle out and say, no, but then comes Pranamaya Kosha. I cannot breathe. I have trouble doing this. My lungs are infected, and so on. Another one. Then supposing you reason yourself, no, I think I'm the very seer of the prana. I'm okay. Manomaya Kosha. Then the most damaging, biggest nail in the coffin that keeps you buried is Vijnanamaya Kosha. How is that? Vijnanamaya Kosha is the identity of the jiva. I am a jiva. I am a jiva. I am a I'm a living person. This is called Vijnanamaya. From it flows what kind of a living person? Unhappy, happy. That's Manomaya Kosha. And I am breathing. Pranamaya Kosha. And I am 5'6", Annamaya Kosha. But the crux of it, the biggest nail is Vijnanamaya Kosha. And then comes Anandamaya Kosha. The Anandamaya Kosha is also a nail in the coffin. It is also a kosha because the reflection of Ananda is in this body, in the prana. And so that Ananda is a reflected Ananda. So when I was telling you when I felt very happy about learning Vedanta and so on, that was Anandamaya Kosha. That is also not the real one. And so the reality is, I am not Anandamaya. Maya here means the modification of Ananda. Reflection of Ananda is called Anandamaya. I am not Anandamaya, I am Ananda. This has to be understood. And so here the Karika points out that this apparent reality that is created by the upadhi is well cited. Vyakhyata means well cited in the Taittiriya also. It's the same thing. So here Gaudapada ji, of course, says that don't just say that I have come up with these kind of theories about Akasha and so on. The Upanishad itself, which is the voice of Ishvara, is saying, Rasadayohi ye koshaha vyakhyata taitiriyake tesham atma parajivaha kham yatha samprakashitaha. So, here, so kham means the Akasha. Swami Tattavidananda ji is giving classes on Kham Brahma. So Kham Brahma means the Akasha Brahma. So Kham, Yatha Kham. There's two words, Kam and Kham. And both of them, Kam means Ananda and Kham means Vyapakaha. And so both of them refer to the same thing. So here, Yatha Kham. So one interesting thing to note here, if you really want to get into this, the Atma here is called Jiva. There's a lot of commentary on this by Swami Maheshananji on this point. Because normally we say that the Jiva means a limited being. But here the word Jiva really refers to Atma. And in fact, Swami Maheshananji also has Swami Paramarthananda has pointed out, Parajiva. Parajiva means the supreme Jiva. The supreme Jiva, the one Jiva, is the Paramatma alone. That is the Mahakasha. And Swami Maheshananji makes the point that really that is the ultimate Jiva. So you can say the word Jiva here means not our traditional limited Jiva, but the unlimited Jiva that gives rise to limited Jiva, which is the very basis of it. So that's why the word Jiva is used by Swami, the author of the Karika. And so there should be no confusion about that. It's not as though he doesn't understand or anything. He knows very well. He still uses the word Jiva in that manner. So this is the example of the Taittiriya Upanishad. And I'm just thinking whether I should... so probably I will postpone taking up verse number 12, which is from the Madhu Brahmana. And this is one of the requests that I made Swami TV to speak on the midday. I don't know whether he will do it or not, but he might take up this particular verse also. Not this particular verse, but this particular concept, which I'll explain to you next time when we meet. So this in both of these, and perhaps even in later on, I don't know, I haven't seen all, I don't remember all I only read 2 or 3 verses ahead of time. But number 12, he says, Dvayoho madhu jnane param brahma prakashitam. So in the Madhu Brahmana is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and he says the same thing is being talked about. And what is the same thing that is being talked about? The viveka between Mahakasha and Ghatakasha, which is in one way they are the same thing, but in one way this is looked as different, in another way it is looked at non-different. So that is the basic concept that is being discussed in the various Upanishads, and it's very consistent with the teaching of the Karika. So with that, I'll close the class today. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu